Expedition.
Hello, my name is Devin Lopez, House of Expedition.
Okay, there you go. Please stand.
Please stand for the pledges. I pledge allegiance
Pledges to the United States flag
to the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag pledge.
flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Campus mission.
Develop young men into impactful leaders who develop intellectual, moral, physical, social, and emotional skills for the global society of tomorrow.
Vision.
The school of today for tomorrow's leaders.
Motto.
Believe, achieve, succeed.
Core belief. Campus course.
Engagement, encouragement, exposure, environment, excellence.
Student core.
Academia, brotherhood, character, perseverance, service.
Campus creed.
We are the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. We believe in transformative powers of knowledge and wisdom. We believe that success is brought about by perseverance, not chance. We know our actions are governed by the strength of character, not the winds of emotion. We resist excuses, holding ourselves accountable for our actions. We are successful through honesty, humility, and the pursuit of intellectual excellence. We are loyal to our family. We are our brother's keeper. We are committed to our community. We are servants of mankind. We have the audacity to hope. We have the audacity to succeed. We are the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy.
School song.
Achieve, succeed.
Moment of silence. You may be seated.
All right, so let's give it up for these two sixth-grade brothers. So I hope everyone had a restful, nice, relaxing, extended long weekend. But starting tomorrow, I hope I get some new brothers up here to lead us. And teachers as well. If you guys want to come up here instead of hearing my voice every single day, that's all right too. So line 8 is the focus of this month. We are our brother's keeper. I want to give just a chance to you guys, if anyone wants to come up here and tell us what this means to you.
Hello, my name is Hunter Anderson, House of Alliance, and I think that this line means that we have to acknowledge our brothers when they need help and just help them out anytime if they ask.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Brother Hunter.
All right, thank you all very much. I wanted to give my take on it really quickly. I had two brothers from the House of Expedition tell me that there was an infiltrator in their midst. So they were their brother's keepers and, hey, this brother over here is from Decree. And so anytime you see someone who's not supposed to be where they're supposed to be, let them know. And if not, let me know, let an adult know. So if our brother, is that William, you're supposed to be in decree? Hey, don't feel bad, we all make mistakes. It's plausible that you didn't know where your house was. So you all please continue to be your brother's keeper. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Do I have anyone else who wants to talk about this line? All right, so just a few things. For the juniors and seniors, the job fair, you can still register. The event is going to be on the 27th of April from 10 to 3. The flyer is already up in the leadership lounge. Also, brothers, you know about the school store, so you can scan the QR code, or if not, there's the tiny URL code there, the website, so you can go to the leadership lounge. I put the website there as well. We do have a birthday today, so let's give it up for these brothers right here. Brother Martin Bloss, 9th grade. Brother Leonardo Juarez, 6th grade. And Brother Francisco Navarez, senior. So, happy birthday to these brothers in the hallway. Give them a fist bump and elbow bump, and then hope you guys have a great birthday. And yeah. All right. So I'm gonna stop sharing from here, and I want to open up for announcements. Do I have any announcements from the teachers in the auditorium? Yes, Mr. Wood.
Good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Wood, Upper School Social Studies. So this is really directed at my juniors and sophomores. Juniors and sophomores, starting tomorrow, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that we are here, we're going to be doing AP tutoring. So to get ready for the test, is going to be focused on writing. So if you need help in the writing department, I'm going to be available for you every morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, a quick thank you to those of you who showed up and went to the AP prep session this past Saturday. Looks like we had a pretty good turnout, so thank you guys very much. Well, if we have time, juniors and sophomores, the time for the tutoring is in the mornings during advisory and licensing. So just go check in with your advisory teacher and then come and see me.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. That is excellent help for the sophomores and juniors. Mr. Fernandez.
Good morning, brothers, faculty. It is that time of the year at the end to actually have a student survey. We're going to be conducting a student survey tomorrow during Lyceum. So therefore, I'm asking that each of you bring your devices. You need to have your devices, and we're going to be conducting a student survey. The student survey is nothing else but to see what your experience is in the classroom, and also to see how we as teachers can improve, to serve you better and teach you better. Okay, so make sure you bring your computers tomorrow. And that also can be done in different, it doesn't matter what, technology you use, but you need to bring a device tomorrow. Okay, so during Lyceum, while we conduct, the survey, we're going to have the teachers to go out, and you're going to be answering 29 questions. Okay, so bring your devices tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Do I have any other announcements from the faculty? Ms. Garrett, do you have an announcement to make?
No, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Have a great Tuesday. And just remember, it's ABAB, and we will have student surveys this week.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Garrett. All right, then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akbar, and thank you for the two brothers, Brother Dylan and Brother Axel, for leading Lyceum this morning. I also wanted to let y'all know we're going to have a guest speaker this morning. It's Mr. Emmett Murphy. He reached out to me. It's been more than a year that we've been trying to get in-person speakers to come to the campus. And what he wants to do, and then he'll speak to you about it. But what he wants to do is he wants to give back and serve the needs of the campus with some of the skills that he's acquired over his life. So he wanted to first speak to you all so he can introduce himself. You can get to know him, and I will let Mr. Murphy take on over. So thank you very much, Mr. Murphy.
Well, I certainly, can you hear me okay? Is this working? Sure. Oh, good. First of all, I want to say I'm most grateful to be here. I'm really excited to be here, and I want to thank Mr. Jackson for the patience, because we started talking way back last year, and then with COVID, as you all know, it's kind of thrown curveballs at us, and fortunately, we're finally able to make it happen. I've written a bunch of notes. I've never done this before, but I think I will say this. I was moved by what y'all said this morning, because much of what you talked about is in my notes, and I have lived what you aspire to and what you are working towards. So I want to give you a little background, and then my hope is that all of you, can think about this, but maybe ask questions. I mean, I'm basically an open book. So I was motivated to do this because I have a middle brother who was our family brainiac. I mean, he was by far the smartest kid in my family, and became an engineer, worked for an oil company, retired, lives in Houston, and he volunteered with Houston ISD to teach as a substitute and also as a tutor, physics, math, and chemistry. Two of those three subjects I would fail at, but he had the brains to do it. And he's been doing this for 9 years, and it's been extremely rewarding to him. So he just sort of motivated me to do this. I realized, I think I was here a few weeks ago, and I talked to a handful of teachers, and they mentioned spring fever. I know all about spring fever. In the dark ages, I was a student, and oftentimes in the spring, as you get towards graduation or towards moving to the upper school or in the middle school, you kind of go, oh, do I really need to do this? So I get that, but hopefully I can hold your attention here. I'm a little bit about me. I'm 70 years old, so I'm a product of the baby boom post-World War II. My father was a B-17 navigator at age 20. So some of you seniors may be close to 18 years old. My dad was 20 years old, and he was stationed in England as a navigator on a B-17 bomber. If you ever looked in World War II, you'll know what I'm talking about. So he had an incredible amount of responsibility at a very young age. And in order to do what he had to do, he had to be a man, exercise disciplines. And all that from my father was communicated to us kids. So I give him a lot of credit for it. I mean, you think about being 20, dropping bombs in Germany. I mean, this is not for kids. Grew up in Northern California, prototypical family, and I have two brothers. I was the oldest of them, family of 5. I went to public schools. Through high school, played baseball, wrestled, all that stuff. And then, obviously, like you kids, wanted to go to college. And as I was going through the process, my high school guidance counselor told me where I couldn't go. Now, that's not what he should have been saying, but that's what they said. And where I couldn't go was the University of California at Berkeley. And Berkeley is one of the top public universities in the country. Well, lo and behold, I did go to the University of California. So there was one thing stuck in my head, was that I took away from that. Don't let people tell you you can't do things because oftentimes they are wrong. I went to Cal, played baseball at the college level, and then ended up going to New York City on a midnight jet, landed at JFK Airport. I don't know if any of you have been to New York, but I had never been east of Denver, Colorado in my life. And I had a green military duffel bag about this high, and that had my life's possessions. So I was supposed to go to school, supposed to have a dorm room, and lo and behold, they lost my housing application at Columbia University, and I was in Spanish Harlem in 1973 with just my duffel bag, no money. And in those days, we didn't have cell phones. You had no cell phones, no smartphones, so it was pull the change out of your pocket, go to the nearest corner and find the payphone. Ended up finding a place to live, and graduated. Went through all the stuff in New York. But it was a harrowing experience. But one of these things, again, in your life, I took a chance, right? I could have done something comfortable, but I pushed myself to being less comfortable with the goal of trying to do something better, okay? So you think about that. So anyhow, worked between semesters to pay expenses. You know, I paid for my full graduate education out of pocket, borrowed money like a lot of people do, and was able to get going. So I ended up getting work in New York City in 1974, which is, again, the dark ages, but by myself, okay? Now, I ended up, and I don't know how many of you are interested in finance or economics or accounting or those kinds of things, but I have spent my entire, I'll say, business career investing in the stock market and in finance. So, and why did I do that? Well, because when I was a kid, your age, I was out mowing lawns. They didn't have power mowers back then. Mowing lawns to make money to pay for stuff because I didn't have an allowance. My parents didn't give me an allowance. And what I thought was, this really sucked because it was hot and sweaty and I wasn't making any money. And I thought indoor work was better than outdoor work. So one thing led to another, and as I went through my studies, I really got into it because I found it fascinating, because in order to do what I did, you got to know a lot about a lot of stuff. You got to know what's going on in the world. And that was a big deal. So I spent 35 plus years as an investor and as someone who looks at companies. You know, in today's world, you're looking at Facebook, you're looking at this or that. Well, there's a company behind it, and that's what I did. So one of the things that I had to do, and you guys are all focused on that, in order to be successful, I had to find the truth in things. Because there's a lot of stuff that was said, published, what have you back then, it was not the truth. And so in order to be successful, I had to find the truth. And seeking the truth is a big deal. So anyhow, that's how I ended up kind of where I am today. And I took a lot of risks along the way. I didn't take the easy path. Started my own company, had it for almost 20 years, and it was a good run. So as I semi-retired, I wanted to kind of come back and perhaps share some things which I thought would be helpful to all you guys. So think about what you all talked about this morning, and I will relay some things that I learned which parallel everything that you are looking at here. You're here for a reason, and most likely it's because someone in your extended family, could be your mom, dad, cousin, uncle, it doesn't matter, but somebody wanted you here, and you said, I want to be here. So that's huge. And so one of the things that I think is important, is huge for you kids, is love your family and appreciate what your family has done for you, which is why you're here. And you are really privileged to be here. This is a great place. There were some things that I've seen in my business career that are very applicable to how you kids, as you grow up and go through high school and get into college, sort of how you do your life. And one of the things I read in a book by a U.S. senator, and it may seem to you like, what is he saying? Well, these are the numbers bear this out. And it's how to be hardly to be successful. Finish high school, okay? Get a job, and get married before you have children. And if you do that, you will be economically in the top third of this country. So think about that as you continue to grow. That's a big deal. And I had a business, I know the consequences of bad decisions, okay, among people and what's happened to those people. I have a good friend, and I don't know how many of you know the Navy SEALs, but one of my good friends is a SEAL Team 6 member who's been a SEAL for 20 years. And he's been places you and I would not want to go to. Anyhow, they have tremendous discipline, and they care just as you care about your fellow students here. So there was a speech given by a former Navy SEAL who was an admiral in the Navy, and he said, and this is to college graduates, he said, make your bed. And of course, when I was young, my dad wanted me to make my bed, and you're going, what am I doing, right? Well, it's symbolic, because when you get up in the morning, as you kids, with the disciplines and the accountability that you have here, making your bed is sort of starting the day off and saying, okay, it's game on, I'm getting my game face on, and I'm going to attack the day. So what appears to be very trivial is actually a big deal. As I was thinking about all this, there was an incident that happened in Dallas about a month ago. And I heard this phrase when I had this business, and it said, if you hang out with dogs, you get fleas, okay? Meaning, if some of your friends don't share your values or are doing some things that, let's just put it this way, isn't the right path, and you hang out with those people, the odds are you're going to get the fleas, just like the dog. And we had, about a month ago, a shooting in Dallas where one of the Dallas Cowboys was in the car in Lower Greenville Avenue when the shooters shot a 20-year-old kid and drove away, okay? He was second-round draft choice, defensive back. So he waited a month before he informed the police, the Dallas police, that he, in fact, was in that car with the guys who shot the guns out of the car and killed the kid. And so now, he had to go turn himself in. They caught the guys who did it. But his career has been tainted by that experience. Here's a guy, he's, the NFL minimum, I think, is $500,000 a year. So you be careful. You got to watch who you hang out with and who you interact with. And in this, among these, your brothers here, you're hanging with the right people, people who share your values. Don't hang out with dogs. I mean, that is a big deal. One of the things they talked about was thinking for yourself. And I also think, it also said up here, you don't want to underestimate your abilities. You're here for a reason. You're smart kids. You work hard, and you've got really good mentoring here. So when you go through and you hear stuff on social media, I don't care if it's TikTok, you name it. Everybody on those platforms makes you want to think, oh, their life is so great, blah, blah, blah. No, a lot of it's not true, which means you've got to be smart enough and know enough about who you are to think for yourself and know what matters and what doesn't matter. There are a lot of people who are famous on social media who don't matter, but they love it and they're getting rich at it. But that's not who you want to be. So one of the things that I, through all the years, may not be, is that oftentimes when things are good, you say, wow, I've got it going. It's all me, all the time. Think about when you're doing well, how the support from all those around you, how your teachers, counselors, principal are also supporting you. And without that support, you're probably not doing as well as you're doing. And you think about it in sports, somebody scores a touchdown, wide receiver catches the pass, but somebody threw that ball to the wide receiver, somebody blocked the defensive lineman about to crush the quarterback. In other words, there were 10 other people out there doing stuff to help that guy. It wasn't just about him. So it's not all about you. It's about your brothers, about your support group. So you share your success with those who helped you. So I'm going to try this fall to work with some of your teachers and share some of the things I've learned over 40 years. And I'm looking forward to it because I think this is a really good crew. And I really look forward to working with you all. I will say that the last thing that I was talking with some people last night at Bible study that I go to every Monday night. And it was, again, up on this board here this morning. You got to love your neighbors as yourself. You share in their love. You support your fellow students, your friends, your brothers. And by doing that, as you come out of here, you're going to be men. And you're going to be able to do some big positive things. So thank you for your time. I'm excited for you all. I think you're super, super fortunate. And know this, you live in the greatest country on the planet. And I've been to some places you would not want to live. So thank you for your time. I'm here to answer any questions. You know, like, did you ever get in trouble in school? Answers, oh yeah. So you can ask me anything you want, and I'll share it with you. But I've been through a lot. Just leave it at that.
perspective
You
on it.
bet.
All right. My question is, like, you've led a tremendous life, it seems like. What advice would you give, not only to the students, but to the faculty when facing, like, adversity? And now, like, how can we overcome some, you know, whether it's academic, professional, or just, you know, in general? How can we kind of, like, persevere and overcome adversity?
That's a great question. I'll give you some examples. I've had, because of the type of life I've led, I took a lot of chances. In other words, I went to New York all by myself when I was 21. I got cancer and got really sick back in 2014, 15. So what I've done is, not one, you don't panic. Two, in the case of when I had cancer, I put my trust in my oncologist, but I also put my trust in a higher power. Like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But I knew, as he told me, I looked for the end game. In other words, he said, I'm going to cure you, but I'm going to put you as close to death as you've ever been. And I said, okay, game on. So you endure the pain, both mental and physical, but you have your end game, your goal. In business, when I started my company, I had wife, 4 kids, all in school. And like, I was in my mid-40s and I was going, what am I doing, right? I mean, so I had a goal. I had some issues, and as I hit those roadblocks, I would tackle them individually, but always kept my eyes on the prize, on the goal. It requires considerable faith in your own abilities, your capabilities as man, and also acknowledging those who you can trust to help you along the way and seek their counsel. So if you've got an issue, personal, classrooms, never be afraid to ask somebody whom you trust to help you, because oftentimes they'll get you kind of back on the road between the white lines. And the other thing, I will say this: don't react, okay? And what I mean is, if you watch the news or you go on social media, everybody wants you to react to something. Well, reacting is not using your head and thinking the problem. Reacting is like a muscle twitch. It doesn't have any brains associated with it. So think through it, don't panic, and use your capabilities, and then rely on those you trust and seek that help.
Does anyone else have a question for Mr. Murphy? Feel free to raise your hand or just come on down.
Yeah, I can talk about a lot of stuff, like what's going on in the war in Ukraine and how it's affecting us every day with $4 plus gasoline. So you can ask me the question. Yes.
And did your business succeed, and how did you make it?
Thank you. Well, I've had 2 businesses, one of which succeeded greatly, one which didn't. I started my own investment firm with a tiny amount of money, and it succeeded because I was fortunate because what I started we had going on. I had a couple of good people with me, but also I understood where my talents were. So, you can say you wanted, like, it was, and I worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, okay? I mean, I worked hard. There's no shortcut to any of this. But I will say also, it was where my talent was. When I was playing baseball at University of California, I was a 165-pound, 5'9" left-handed pitcher. Well, as much as I love baseball and pitching, no one was going to put me in the big leagues because I wasn't 195, 6'2", and could throw a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Ain't going to happen. So we also have to be realistic about what we're good at. So it worked. The business that didn't work was where I made some mistakes and misjudged people, and I got taken advantage of by some dishonest people. And it hurt. It was 3 years out of my life. I'll just put it mildly, it was hell. But success or fail, I think doing something like that helps you grow. And I just, I was one who was going to sort of step out and extend myself. So you extend yourself and it works. So yeah, it worked. It was a great run. Got to support my kids, put them all through college, the whole 9 yards. Yes. Oh boy. Thank you. Sorry. I had to go down New York on Broadway to the bookstores to find roommate wanteds because they lost my housing application. I had no place to live. Once I got there, I had a little car, I sold it, and it paid half a semester's tuition at school. Then I paid for it by getting a student loan, and then I worked every chance I could work. And I lived, let's put it this way, I lived in places that you don't want to live in. I was back, we had no air conditioning, no phones. I got a radio, and I just did it. And every time, I got an internship, was able to move. You're just scrimping and scraping, and I didn't know how to cook. So my then girlfriend gave me a book called the I Never Cooked Before cookbook, and I learned how to make meatloaf, which I love, by the way. And that's kind of how I survived. It was hand-to-hand combat every day, but it worked. And you go through that, and the rewards can be there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brother Quentin Pruitt, House of Alliance 6th grade. And when did your business start, and how did when did it start flowing? How many years did it take?
Thank you. That's a great question. I worked for an individual who had started a company, and I was there 15 years. He became a partner, and we grew it. Okay, it became kind of a big deal. So I was 15 plus years into my career before I decided to leave. I started it, and I had basically nothing. I had to go out and get people to invest with me. It took about 3 or 4 years before it hit its stride. And then I had a big bump in the road, almost lost my business in the year 2001 and 2002. Recovered it, and then we had a run. And so the thing is, you got to stay with it all the time. Even when it's going good, you cannot rest. And oftentimes when it's going the best you ever saw is the time you have to feel most uncomfortable because you keep wondering, are the good times going to continue to roll? So it's just staying with it. It took a few years, though. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Murphy, and thank you all for the questions. I really appreciate Mr. Murphy coming on out to speak with us. I've said this before a few times. We have people come and they'll speak with us. They'll say some of the same things to motivate you, to focus you, to help you, to support you. Same things that we go over every day with our mission, our vision, our creed, our core values. Same thing your teachers say, same thing your parents say. But if you hear it 25 times, if you hear it 100 times every day, that's better for you. All right, so the whole purpose of this was, in addition to Mr. Murphy saying that he wants to help and contribute by working with teachers and students, that's just one thing, but also just giving you a different perspective. Having a perspective of someone who was in your shoes, like you said, in the dark ages. I was born in 1977, so that was, I guess, the dark ages too also, but it's always relative, right? There's always people that are older than you and people that are younger than you. So as many perspectives as you can have, it just helps you to know yourself better and to know your world better. So the more you know, the better you can make decisions and navigate this complicated and ever-changing society and world. So thank you all again. Just another opportunity. Any questions for Mr. Murphy? Any other announcements?